Let me take a moment to explain something that might seem small on the surface, but I think it speaks to a much bigger problem in our media landscape, on both the left and the right. Earlier today, Megyn Kelly posted a YouTube clip with the description. Megyn Kelly is joined by Maureen Callahan to discuss the way the new Epstein emails implicate Bill Clinton, former Obama officials, and many more public figures in power. Now, I want to slow this down because the tactic here is subtle. It's not loud or dramatic. It's not a headline that screams anything openly false, but it does something more corrosive. It relies on implication, not information. She names Bill Clinton. She does not name the Obama official. And then she tosses in many more public figures in power. By invoking Obama's name through the soft phrase former Obama officials, it creates a quiet but intentional tether, a little thread designed to pull Obama into the frame even when there is nothing there. It's not criticism, it's not evidence, it's degradation by suggestion, letting the viewer fill in the blank with a suspicion that has no factual foundation. This is how guilt by association works in modern media, not through lies, but through fog. Megyn Kelly knows exactly what she's doing. She knows that saying Obama officials is not the same as saying Obama, but she also knows many people will hear Obama anyway, and that is the entire point of the tactic. It's a soft smear. Not enough to be sued, but enough to plant the idea. If the goal were truly clarity, she would have just said the person's name. But clarity was not the goal. Implication was. This is the same template used in other contexts, too. We saw this with the BBC when they selectively edited Trump's January 6th speech, slicing out the part where he said, peacefully and patriotically. By removing that line, they shaped the feeling of the speech into something it wasn't. They didn't lie openly. They engineered a false impression. That is narrative sculpting. That is not journalism. And once you start editing reality, not to inform people, but to lead them, you cross a line. Because when the media uses these tactics, implication, selective editing, insinuation, a very predictable question eventually arises. Who exactly is being fooled by this? And here's the answer that the media refuses to confront. The only people being fooled are the very people they later struggle to convince. The audiences they alienate are the audiences they created. The BBC wonders why so many viewers don't trust them about Trump. Well, maybe it's because they edited and shaped his words until people saw the distortion clearly. Maybe distrust wasn't born out of ignorance, but out of betrayal. Likewise, Megyn Kelly wonders how so many Americans came to believe Trump incited violence that day. But she never stops to consider that she, and many others in her profession, helped plant the seeds of that belief through these same misleading tactics. When you smear by suggestion, imply by association, let innuendo do the heavy lifting, exaggerate the emotional frame, and manipulate the viewer's assumptions, you create an environment where people become trained to fill in the gaps emotionally rather than factually. So later, when an accusation emerges, even a weak one, people are primed to believe it because the groundwork was already laid. The media on both sides loves to act confused about why so many people fall for things. But the truth is simple. People believe the lies because the media taught them to. People follow the implication because the media conditioned them to. People accept the innuendo because the media normalized innuendo as journalism. And then these same outlets sit back and say, I don't understand why trust is collapsing. It's collapsing because they undermined it. They chipped away at it with every misleading edit, every suggestive headline, every vague insinuation designed to tarnish an opponent without openly making a false claim. This is the tiny stone that eventually erects a dysfunctional structure. Once these tools exist, everyone uses them. And once everyone uses them, the entire media ecosystem becomes one long implication war. That's why I find this kind of media behavior so distasteful from any direction, not because of who it targets, but because the tactic itself is corrosive. It erodes trust. It promotes cynicism. It replaces truth with mood and innuendo. And here's the deeper truth. These modern pundits and media personalities love to wrap themselves in the language of journalistic tradition, truth, fairness, integrity, but their behavior doesn't match those words. They are not standing on the shoulders of the giants who came before them. They are borrowing the reputation of journalism while dismantling the very standards that defined it. Clicks, likes, profit. These have become the real North Star. Not truth, not honesty, not clarity, not the responsibility to inform without distorting. And when the North Star shifts, the whole compass breaks. Because if you build your platform using manipulative tools, if you play with implication and selective framing, if you normalize smearing by association, then you don't get to be shocked when those same tools are used against you or against the people you support. That is the predictable consequence. We cannot build a healthier culture on a foundation of whispers and insinuations. And as long as the media keeps using these tactics on either side, the distrust, the division, and the dysfunction will only get worse. That's why this small example matters. Not because it's Obama, not because it's Trump, but because the tactic itself is corrosive, and we're all living with the consequences.